Hey guys, are you ready to transform your mind so you can transform your life? Coach Myrna brings you one-on-one coaching and expert guests weekly to help you to grow. Because happiness is the progressive realization of a worthy goal.
Looking for personal growth? Let's do it. This episode of the Transform Your Mind podcast is brought to you by Square. As an entrepreneur, I've learned that making it easy for clients to pay you is essential. I personally use Square to accept coaching payments and to collect deposits for my real estate business. And it has been a reliable part of how I run my business. I also love seeing vendors at the farmers market accept credit card payments with their Square hardware. The setup is simple, the payments are secure, and everything is organized in one place. Right now, listeners can get up to $200 off Square hardware when you sign up at square.com/go/transform. That's SQUARE.com/go/transform. Get started with Square and build a setup that works the way you do.
So trauma, we, for example, see when we scan the brain and we go deeper in the brain, and there you have the diencephalon, and part of that is, for example, the hypothalamus, the hypophysis, the whole stress axis. And when we see stress there, we can see what kind of child trauma imprints are there, even from the womb. And so most people wear imprints from the mother. And let's say a certain woman is pregnant, and during her pregnancy, her husband is seeing someone else, and she finds out, and she really feels, I'm not good enough, and he's seeing someone else, and she's thinking that during her pregnancy, like 9 months, then this becomes an epigenetic imprint on the child. And of course, the mother also is a very good tennis player, so she also has some very positive thoughts. But those positive thoughts don't bring you out of balance. But let's say this guy, the child has become a boy. He's 25 years old now. He works with a consulting agency and has to go for a big pitch with 3 other agencies. And when the moment is there, the moment of truth, there's some kind of voice in him. I'm not good enough.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Transform Your Mind podcast, where we bring you conversations that empower your mind, improve your health, and help you live your best life. I'm your host, Life Coach Myrna Young. Today's guest is Daniel Zavrel, founder of Consciouz and creator of the Consciouz Scan Method. With more than 35 years of experience in coaching, human performance, and personal transformation, Daniel helps people uncover hidden patterns behind stress, emotional pressure, burnout, and physical imbalance. He has worked with elite athletes, global corporations, and individuals seeking deeper healing and greater resilience. His work combines psychology, body awareness, energetic insight, and practical coaching to help people understand what their bodies are trying to tell them. Today, we're going to explore the connection between stress, emotions, and the body, and how understanding these hidden patterns can completely transform your life. Daniel, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Myrna.
You're very welcome, right? Anything to do with the body, scanning, consciousness, I'm all in. And so should you guys too, our listeners. All right, so let's dive right in. So, Daniel, what are the hidden patterns behind stress, burnout, and physical imbalance that most people never recognize?
Generally, I would say there's a thought that I'm only safe or worthy if I'm loved or when I perform, or when I stay strong or take care of someone else. And that pattern can make people very successful, but can also be very lead to a high exhaustion. And generally, what I see the most is that people get disconnected from their heart, from their higher purpose. So generally, when people have like a lower body consciousness, but very focused on perfection, that's also when they really have a high danger of being burnt out.
Yeah, I have interviewed a Navy SEAL guy that said that, when you go into Navy SEALs, it's like high they teach you to ignore the pain, right? You're
Yeah.
strong when you're ignoring the pain, you're strong when you're performing. And what happened to him is that when he left the Navy SEAL, he was still doing that every day, and his body responded by burnout. So, so are you thinking that the people that have burnout is because they don't pay attention to the signs, or they think that hurting is good?
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of these people generally are what I call insecure overachievers. And so the insecurity, the not being connectedness with their authenticity, their heart, their self-worth makes them overperform for like, so that they get approved by others. And then literally you can ignore pain or you don't even know how to. I remember when I was studying on university, Erasmus University in Rotterdam, I studied business economics. I was the same. I was living, if you would draw me, on a piece of paper, you would draw a huge head with a very tiny body around it. So I was totally living in my head. I didn't have body consciousness. And so one day I had my first yoga class. And then the teacher said, okay. And it was like the dog down pose. And he said, really feel your feet now. And I really didn't know what he was talking about, feeling my feet. And I really never had anything of feeling my feet. So
Wow.
now, years later, now I've become a yoga teacher, and yeah, I can feel every artery and skin point on my feet. But at that time, not at all. So I was also high risk of burnout, and I actually did burn out at that time. Because I was adopted when I was a young child of about 3. I have a Czech father, I have a Dutch mother. I was born and raised in the Netherlands. And then my parents separated and I was put in an orphanage. So my father just said bye-bye, and it was really traumatic. And that kind of insecurity also led me to be overachieving and really going over every boundary. And then I went for about half a year to India, to the Himalayas, to all kind of spiritual masters and monasteries. And that's where slowly but steadily I find myself. But I was actually been there, done it, seen it, unfortunately.
Wow, wow, wow. I'm glad I decided to include a question here on trauma. I mean, I'm not going to get to it now, but yeah, and I'm reading a book right now. It's called the Your Body Keeps the Score. And I'm right in the chapter where there is this oncologist that came into therapy, and he was strong, and he was, was so strong that he was arrogant for the people that are not strong. And he came in because he said, my wife says that I'm unemotionally unavailable and that I am not touching her. And he came in thinking that, what is wrong with her? Something is wrong with her. I am touching her enough or whatever. But then when the therapist got down to it, that was his protection, because he felt, childhood trauma felt him that he needed to be this strong person. Almost like what you're saying, that you needed to be this strong person. And we call it the armor. So that's the armor you put on. You're lifting weights, you got all these muscles, you're strong, you're disdainful for the little people that are not as strong as you. But when you break that down, it's all because you built that protection because you're scared little boy and stuck aside, which is basically what the therapist uncovered. So it's kind of great that that you went through that. I just started doing hot yoga, and it's my passion. And I
Yeah.
have always fantasized about yoga and going to the Himalayas and going into the ashrams and you know and you know, hiking to base camp. All these things were just fantasies. But I never did anything about it until somebody introduced me to hot yoga. And now I'm passionate about it because it's a spiritual experience. It's not just posing, you know, you're doing all that. So yeah, you're definitely in touch with your body, in touch with your breath. And that's great. So I'm glad that you're now a yoga teacher.
Yeah, it takes a while to really get into body consciousness. I was totally amazed by actually how long that takes. I'm already let's say 20 years engaged in yoga, and
Mm,
but you start to feel more and more of your body, but also emotionally. Yeah, I always say if you want to feel well, you really have to feel yourself well. And
mm,
that's something we don't learn in school. We learn to nourish our left brain, rational thinking, and then maybe a little bit the right brain, creativity, but it's almost everything left brain. And then the heart brain is totally ignored. What direction, what higher purpose would you want? The belly brain, feeling. It's something. It's totally. We learn only the thinking part, and that's why so many on this people have become left brain prisoners, as I call them. They
yeah,
only believe what they're seeing, and that's a
yeah,
ridiculously small amount of reality. Like what we can see, the light frequencies is 0.0005% of all frequencies which are out there.
yeah.
So most people are attached to a very tiny piece of reality, and they have imprisoned themselves in the left brain, and that's why all so-called, when it's not scientifically proven, that means within that small bandwidth. So when expanding and also use your intuition, your inner knowing, then your feeling, then your awareness can expand much more, not only into your body but also to the surrounding world, and you can distinguish yeah, some kind of reality from utter bullshit.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember. I can't recall it right now, but I remember at one point in time I was conscious of the fact that yeah, if you can sense it, like your five senses are not, you know, really in touch with the world. It's if you can see it, feel it, touch it, then it's totally different from the ones that you can't see or touch or feel that it's around you. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's very important to be aware. And that's exactly what your work is, consciousness, because consciousness is not something that you can touch, right? Consciousness is just being aware. Who is the witness? You know, and yeah, and yoga and spirituality and all those things teach you that yeah, your body is all spirit. It's not what you see, right? So you've got to be able to be aware of the witness, right? So this is beautiful. All right.
Yeah.
So let's talk now about what the body is trying to say to us when it's talking to us through pain, fatigue, anxiety, or tension. What is the dialogue? You know, what are you feeding it, and what is it feeding back to you?
Yeah, that's such a great question, Myrna. And yeah, I like to follow the traditional Chinese medicine in this regard, which is about 5,000 years old. Our Western medicine is only 100 years old. And what's so funny about the latest thing, I just saw an American documentary about how actually the Rockefeller family some kind of hijacked the health system. Like for about 150 years ago, from 1883, like there were all kinds of, let's say, health stores in America which operated by herbs, by pure herbs. And it was a very difficult education to become a doctor and use herbs. And then slowly but steadily, and that's what the American documentary taught me, this Rockefeller family bought all these shops and slowly transformed them into oil-based medicines, because they were in oil. And so they slowly replaced it with pills and pharmaceutical means, and the herbs slowly went out. And
Yeah.
so again, it went to a very small left brain thing. So, as in more in a traditional Chinese medicine, and we look at all kinds of signs. And then an emotion is just a sigh of an organ, a breath of an organ. And let's say the liver, when the liver is out of balance, the liver will send signals of frustration, anger. So anger will diminish and weaken the liver. And even when it's rage, it will weaken the gallbladder. When you have a lot of sorrow, it weakens the stomach. And so when the stomach gets out of balance, it's because of sorrow, as is the pancreas, for example, and the spleen.
Mm-hmm.
And then the kidneys get out of balance by too much fear. And of course, you also have the adrenal glands, which are on top of the kidneys, which are totally fear driven by producing cortisol and adrenaline. Then you have the heart, which gets out of balance by pain, of course, and the lungs by grief and disappointment and non-acceptance. So it's very good to listen in. So what is a kind of organ telling you? I'm doing that with this conscious scan, which we will discuss later a little bit. So we really can, with a body mind scan technology, quantum physics based technology, I can literally scan all these organs and see where there's balance and disbalance and what these organs actually have to tell you. And so that again is you have to feel better. You have to learn to feel yourself better.
I've actually never heard that. Never once. So this is why I love this show. I mean, I've had people come on and talk about pain, for instance, your fascia, or what is it trying to tell you if you're, for instance, one of my guests was saying, okay, if you have um, plantar fasciitis, I say it wrong all the time. It's telling you something because the pain is trying to tell you that there's something wrong in it. But I've never heard anybody talk about the imbalances in your organs. That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's a
That is beautiful. Okay. Yes.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
think that even the American Stress Institute said that about 70 to 80% of all diseases have a psycho-emotional cause. And actually, what we define as stress is experiencing unpleasant feeling. So most people think they are stressed when they are very busy or are in haste. But every unpleasant feeling, like depression, is stress. Like anxiety is stress, sadness is stress, everything which is unpleasant is stressful because it makes the heart rhythm incoherent. And then people should know, this is also science from the American Heart Math Institute, is that our heart is electromagnetically 5,000 times stronger than our brain. And so that's the pressure wave which comes from the heart, which goes to all the arteries and the veins. And when you are, for example, fearful, you get a very incoherent signal, which synchronizes the brain and gets your heart rhythm incoherent, which will produce stress hormones and which will age you. And then also epigenetically, certain switches will switch on and off and might slowly but steadily, for example, materialize into a disease. So actually the body I perceive as materialized mind. And where the mind doesn't flow, your body shows. So actually, it's an instrument of becoming more conscious. And in the end, it's all about growth. Did you grow? Did you listen in? So what does your body have to say? So that you don't have to become ill or you don't have to experience a disease if you know what your body or your mind in the end wants to say. Do you still want to stay angry on that man which pissed you off 10 years ago? Or is it time to let go or to forgive it? And so these are it's all a game of becoming and gaining in consciousness so that your soul grows. And when your soul grows and when your consciousness grows, you just can make better choices because you're aware of your thoughts, of your feelings, of your behaviors. And in the end, this leads to better consequences and better success.
Yeah, well, I'm sure you know the statistic that 95% of the time we're living unconscious lives and we're not even aware. I mean, you just mentioned that the fact that you weren't even aware of your feet, and that's a physical thing,
Exactly.
much less people being aware of their thoughts and their emotions and their stress levels, and they're not aware of their thoughts, And years ago, I wrote an article called Ants, which is about the automatic negative thoughts. So people not
Oh,
even
yeah.
aware of the thoughts that are going through their mind. So yeah, consciousness is big because we are all living unconscious lives. So telling someone that be aware that be aware that if you are, I mean, what your liver, or I don't even remember what you said. I mean, but if something happens, then you got to look at, what your liver or your pancreas or your lungs or your heart is saying. The stomach one, they get, because whenever you feel nervous, you feel it in the pit of your stomach. So that's something that gives you an immediate response. But nobody knows what their kidneys are doing unless you. So yeah, your work is beautiful, and it saves lives. Now we know that stress and inflammation is at the root of all diseases, chronic, whatever, they all tell you that. But again, knowing something and actually living it and being aware, unconscious of it, it's a totally different thing, right? So, I mean, this is why, bringing on guests like you to get us to listen and maybe get us to be aware, it's a good thing. But, let's talk now about childhood trauma, because you mentioned the fact that, sometimes people, something that has done to you, like for instance, people can come into a therapy 70, 80 years old, and they're still living through the trauma from when they're like 5 or 7 or something like that. So, I mean, and that's why I spend a lot of time on trauma on the show. So how does unresolved trauma continue to influence our thoughts, emotions, relationships, and our physical health decades later, from your consciousness perspective?
Yeah, I think big time. When I speak for myself and with my traumatic experience as a child, it still works through. And after so many therapies, trainings, coaching sessions, so in the end, I have found that just accepting that it's part of yourself is the best thing for me, especially personally, to do. So it's just part of you, and then generally it will not play a big role, but it's some parts it might play up again, and then just accept it, breathe through it, welcome it as part of yourself, because it's, if you really want to fight to get rid of it, it will stay, because everything that you fight will gets more energy and will
Yeah,
stay. So as long
yeah,
as you breathe through it and you welcome it and you send it love, and be very compassionate with yourself and just invite it as one of the guests in your house of consciousness, then it's okay. And then you can really live with it as with every other emotion. This does not say that it will not help to do some therapy. It did help me, absolutely. But it's amazing how these strong traumas can really impact your nervous system and imprints in your body. And yeah, welcome them.
Support for today's episode comes from Square, the business platform that helps sellers become neighborhood favorites. So whether you're gearing up for a busy season or just trying to keep up with everyday demand, Square keeps your business running smoothly, from payments and POS to online orders, inventory, staff, and more, all in one place, so you can focus on your customers and not your to-do list. I've been using Square in my own business for years, as a real estate professional and as a coach. Square makes it easy for small businesses to accept credit card payments. I also love shopping at the farmers market and seeing the vendors accept payments with their Square devices. Square brings payments, POS, inventory, staffing, and online sales together in one system, so business owners don't have to juggle a bunch of tools. You can sell online, in-store, or both, and customize your setup as your business evolves. Square now offers 3 clear plans: free, plus, and premium. So you can pick the tools you need and grow into more when you're ready. Square helps you run your business more smoothly, bringing payments, operations, and insights together in one place. So you're ready for whatever is next. Right now, listeners can get up to $200 off Square hardware when you sign up at square.com/go/transform. That's SQUARE.com/GO/transform. Get started with Square and build a setup that works the way you do. I thought I was normal until I started taking a probiotic. Better health really does start in the gut. And that's why I want to tell you about Physician's Choice 60 Billion Probiotic. What I love about Physician's Choice 60 Billion Probiotic is that it's not just one strain. It's 10 different strains, all in one simple daily capsule. It helps promote a healthy balance of gut bacteria, supports digestive health, and contributes to overall wellness. It has acid resistance capsules, which ensures the probiotics survive your stomach acid and reach your gut intact. It's also the #1 best-selling probiotic on Amazon, with more than 140,000 reviews. Best of all, it's made in the USA and backed by a 60-day money-back guarantee, no questions asked. So, if you're ready to be intentional about your gut health, go to Amazon or physicianschoice.com and use code PCPodcast10 for 10% off your entire order. That is PCPodcast10 for 10% off. Best results after a month of use, so invest in your gut. Subscribe and save up to 40% off your order. You can also find Physician's Choice at all of your favorite retailers. Okay. Well, yeah, that is, I've heard about that. Well, of course, I mean, a long time ago, I recognized the statement that whatever you fight, you increase. It's the law of energy.
Yeah,
Whatever you fight, anything you give more energy to shows up more, right? So yeah,
exactly.
withdrawing your energy from it's a good thing. But traumatic experiences like show up in your relationships and your emotions, and it causes autoimmune diseases and things like that. So yeah, one thought is to sit with it. I remember, I went to therapy a couple of times, and one of the things that was happening to me when I sought out therapy is that I was getting angry, and the therapist told me is because I was pushing things down. Obviously, I didn't want to deal with it, and I was pushing it down, and it was coming back up, bubbling up back as anger. And she said, just feel it, just let it, sit with it, and let it pass through you. Don't resist it. So I understand I understand basically what you're saying. But then, I am reading this book right now that's called The Body Keeps Score. And it's all about getting rid of the traumas. It's all about EMDR and one structure, and imagining what you would do if, you had a better life, and, all these type of things. So, um, in your work with consciousness, how are you teaching people to accept and don't give the trauma much energy? So I guess now we can talk about the Consciouz Scan Method, and how does it work based on the fact that we can use it for unresolved trauma, we can use it for longevity. Let's talk about your Consciouz Scan Method now.
Yeah, so the Consciouz Scan Method, which is conscious with a Z, it's a playful word. So it's conscious with a Z, not with an S. Consciouz Scan. Actually, it's a development first for elite forces from the US, But then in the Cold War, the Russians and Americans, they exchanged. There was espionage, counter-espionage, and so the Russians developed this technology actually later for their cosmonauts. It's very expensive to get a cosmonaut, let's say, with a stomach also out of space. So they want to develop a technology which could already detect disturbances in the bioenergy field before materializing it, for example, into an ulcer. And so they made this huge investment in time, money to develop this technology. And then when the walls broke down from the USSR, it came to Germany. So what we do, it's a quantum physics technology where we can either measure when somebody is live with you with a so-called biophoton trigger sensor, or on distance with a piece of hair, nail, or even with a photo. And we do that with this cell analysis box. It's totally medically certified. And there you can put, it has a photo in it, for example, but you can also put a hair or nail in it. And then with screen sharing, I scan literally the whole world, people from all the world, to see where their body is in balance and out of balance. So what happens is, so every organ, this, for example, here is a table, every organ operates on a certain frequency. And let's say the bones are on 1.8 hertz, the brain is on 8.2 hertz. And then you can see if this organ has its ideal frequency or if it's out of balance. We measure this with so-called biophotons. And there's a large database which has healthy tissue, unhealthy tissue, viruses, radiation, nutrition. So we can totally make 100% personalized body-mind scan of where there's balance and disbalance and what are causes of disbalance. Now, for example, I did this for 4 years with, well, there's the World Championship soccer right now in the US and in Mexico and Canada. And so I trained the PSV, which is one of the top 3 soccer teams here in the Netherlands and AZ. So we won 4 times the cup, the Dutch Cup, by really using this conscious scan on these players. So they could play the top mental game, but also physical game. And so we can calculate with one button press the total nutrition personalized. And for example, we can scan the hypothalamus tract where trauma is based, or we can scan the entire brain or the stomach or the heart or whatever. And we can see instantly what the theme is, also psycho-emotionally. And because for 20 years, and then Russia, they had these huge investigations, for example, with liver patients or kidney patients or lung patients. And they also really sort out the psycho-emotional disbalances behind it. And they put this all in this millions worth of technology, which has now come out for normal people to be scanned, and which is now culminated in Consciouz Scan. So trauma, we, for example, see when we scan the brain and we go deeper in the brain, and there you have the diencephalon, and part of that is, for example, the hypothalamus, the hypophysis, the whole stress axis. And when we see stress there, we can see what kind of child trauma imprints are there, even from the womb. And so most people wear imprints from the mother. And let's say a certain woman is pregnant, and during her pregnancy, her husband is seeing someone else. And she finds out. And she really feels, I'm not good enough. And he's seeing someone else. And she's thinking that during her pregnancy, like 9 months, then this becomes an epigenetic imprint on the child. And of course, the mother also is a very good tennis player, so she also has some very positive thoughts. But those positive thoughts don't bring you out of balance. But let's say this guy, the child has become a boy, he's 25 years old now, he works with a consulting agency and has to go for a big pitch with 3 other agencies. And when the moment is there, the moment of truth, there's some kind of voice in him, I'm not good enough. I'm getting really new. Actually, this is the imprint made in the womb from the mother. And so when you become conscious about where these imprints, that's called the prenatal imprints come from, for example. Of course, you also have significant emotional happenings later in your life. But generally, this is what we call the basis of the onion, the deeper part. also from
Mhm.
trauma and from those parts. And then you can rethink them. You can transform your thinking when we have made them conscious with the conscious scan.
Summer is all about keeping things simple, comfortable, and stylish. That's why I love investing in timeless pieces that I can wear again and again. And that's why I love Quince. They make elevated essentials using premium materials like European linen, organic cotton, and washable silk without the traditional retail markup. Quince's 100% European linen pants, dresses, and tops are pieces you'll reach for all summer long. They're lightweight, effortless to style, and start at just $32. I recently paired a blue and white linen pants with a white linen top. I was impressed with the perfect fit, and the casual luxury had everyone complimenting me on my look. Every good outfit needs accessories. Quince's beautiful 14-karat gold jewelry adds a subtle finishing touch. Simple hoops or delicate chains make even the most effortless outfit feel intentional. Make your summer wardrobe feel easier. Go to quince.com/TYM for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. That's QUINCE.com/TYM for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/TYM. Nice. All right, so let's explore that. Um, that's a pretty good example that you give because it's very true. Um, if when people get rejected or if their husband cheats or whatever, they always feel that it's because someone is better than them. And yeah, epigenetics. I mean, I wasn't aware that it's prenatal, but um uh, but this particular person got it from because they talk about transgenerational trauma or intergenerational trauma because yeah, it's
Right.
passed down. But I mean, people feel, the number one um thing in coaching everywhere is that everybody comes into coaching feeling they're not good enough. Even Michelle Obama, being as successful as she was, feel that she was not good enough. It's something that, I don't know, rewired. So it doesn't always happen prenatal, but it happens, your teacher tells it to you, or your parents chose like the another sibling or something. So, so what happens when they do the scan and recognize that it was something that was prenatal? Do you tell them to sit with it? It's part of their DNA, or do you try to get them to transform the thinking, which is basically
Yeah.
our the show, transform your mind? What do you tell? What do you coach them, or you just show them the results?
Yeah, actually, three things. So the first one is about acceptance, as just explained, which is a huge part that is part of you, and that it also has brought you good things. And like Michelle Obama, she also did very good things, and
Yes.
she reached quite far because of that program. So it's not only bad. Of course, it gives you a lot of stress and fear and anger, and that part you can transform, and that starts with acceptance. Then also very strong. That's one of my favorites. Is thought training. And like we have 60 to 80,000 thoughts on a day, and our self-talk in a minute is 500 to 600 words. And about 70 to 80% of those words are negative, non-helping thoughts, and they recycle constantly. And to become aware of that and say, hey, that's that thought again of me not being good enough, or I can do this. And you just become witness of it and then really say, is this a helpful thought? No. So what could be a more helpful thought? Of course I can do it. I give so many presentations which were successful in the past already. So what the heck? I can do this. And this literally, a thought gives a feeling. So it gives a better feeling. and then it gives a better behavior and a better outcome in the end. So thought training is key. Also, when I do this with athletes, sports lab, I was just talking about PSV. And then the good thing is with this conscious scan, we know exactly where the hit points are. And so the transformational points are. And then we can also do the nutritional part, because a lot of thing is also by wrong nutrition. For example, a person might miss B12, why he stays in a state of stress, or he might need copper or iron or omega-3. So we look with the conscious scan really holistically, for example, at this brain. And we look at the nutritional part, the psycho-emotional part. Maybe a person suffers from 5G radiation. Or sleep. I had this one man who had heart problems, saw 3 to 4 hospitals, and the hospital couldn't find anything. I was scanning him, and I could just saw very quickly that he had high stress of 5G radiation. And I asked him, "Do you wear your phone in your jacket and your Colbert jacket?" Yeah, he was a suit wearing man. And then of course you have phone, which is a huge electromagnetic device. He puts it in his jacket, and then it comes on the heart, like 8-10 hours a day. Not being conscious that your heart is electromagnetic. And when we make an ECG, we make an electrocardiogram, and you put voluntarily a very strong electromagnetic device which communicates with 3G, 4G, 5G, and Wi-Fi stations on your most vital organ, 8 to 10 hours a day, and then wonder, why do you suffer from your heart? So it was very simple. I said, please leave your phone not on your body, put it in a bag or whatever. 3 weeks later, he came back. I scanned his heart. It was totally balanced.
Nice. Yeah.
This is
The doctors can't figure that out.
It's a holistic thing. So it's also that this radiation can trigger trauma because it resonates on a frequency, for example, which was the same frequency, could be like this trauma frequency, where you, for example, people cannot sleep from the radiation. And so you all have all kinds of devices nowadays to transform radiation. I have myself also like this little device I always wear with me. It transforms the radiation into body like Schumann resonances, where you feel like sitting in nature suddenly. So it's I really love look physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, energetically, very holistically. That's what we do with Conscious Scan, so that we can go very quick to the cause of the matter. And that's actually what our clients, both corporate athletes and private persons, love so much. We can see so directly what the main causes are.
Yeah, I like that. That is beautiful. Very, very beautiful. Right. Okay. So, you've coached professional athletes, corporate leaders, and families. What separates people who thrive under pressure from those who burns out? Is it their frequency?
Yeah, I think that those people, I think some people who have who are high achievers did burn out at the time. As explained before, I've also burned out. I consider myself also as a high achiever, but by having experienced this burnout, you also make from wounds wisdom. So I think many high performers have also suffered high stress. Like all masters, what they say, the biggest spiritual masters, like for example, if you consider like Jesus like a master, or Buddha like a master, or Muhammad like a master, or whatever, these were people who suffered great pain. And then the pain, these wounds led to wisdom, and made them on a very high level. But in the end, they know how to recover. And they know how to regulate, for example, the autonomic nervous system. They know how to return back to themselves, to return to stillness, to recharge themselves very quickly, because they have become conscious of how these things work. When also same for me, when I measure that I work too hard and then I stop and I go back to stillness. And then it goes my top priority. I do heart focused breathing, for example, as one of my breathing techniques as a yoga teacher. It's very simple. Everybody can do that. And that brings me back out of the head into this strong electromagnetic field of the heart, just by heart focused breathing. So there's so many things, of course, that you can apply. But I think people they have a very high awareness of what they are feeling, thinking, and feeling, and so they can regulate and recover faster because they have
Yeah.
gone and they have become aware.
Yeah. Meditation and stillness and awareness and nature and, all those things is one way to help with your mental health and help with your body. And people that just go, 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 they're definitely gonna burn out. So, if I were to wrap that up in a little bow, the people who, thrive under pressure are the people that have built a foundation of, mind body connection kind of thing. And the people that are just, like a hamster in a wheel that can't feel their body or not aware of what they're thinking and stuff like that, they're going to be stressed all the time, which means that they're gonna burn out because they're not taking care of the mental part. Maybe they might even go to the gym and work out, but they're not taking care of the mental part of it. And yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
go
And
ahead.
it's also a matter of identification. And so, almost all fears come from the fear of death. And that's why Buddhists, for example, meditate on death. And so, when you really maybe come to the conclusion that you just change clothes, you change your body in the end, and so that you might even be eternal consciousness, having this experience. One time you are being born as a black woman, and then as a white man, and then maybe as a Chinese, and so we are all one consciousness, experiencing different forms and shapes, and by growing by that. That's why, for example, racism is the most ridiculous thing you can think of, because we are just one consciousness, and we've
Yes,
been
yes.
in every color and shape and
Still
form
have the
as a
same
human
DNA. In
being.
fact, my pastor was
Yeah,
just preaching about that. We all have the same DNA. It's just some are lighter and some are darker. You're very right.
yeah, exactly. And then, so the identity is just what you say. You are not your body. You are not your thinking. You are not your feeling. And so in the end, you are pure awareness, pure consciousness. And then there are actually four like main stages of this consciousness growth. And the first is people think they manifest, they think things happen to them. And that's more like the victimhood. And then slowly, the second stage is no, 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 things happen by me. And that's the whole manifesting thing. And then
Mhm.
there's nothing wrong with that, but because, of course, you have to do some actions. But the third stage is much more effortless. And that's when you realize that things happen through you. And that's a higher intelligence, which manifests through you by wanting you to be the best version of yourself, the highest potential. And this is your inner voice of intuition, of effortlessness. Generally, we don't listen to it because most people are imprisoned in the left brain and they don't take it serious. They only take what they can see very serious. And that's a very
Right.
ridiculous part of reality again. So when you open up what's happening, what wants to manifest through you, things become effortless. I always say never work again. And that means when you do something out of passion from your heart, as the Japanese call your ikigai. And when you are in your ikigai, when you do something that you love, then you have to become good at it, but that happens by itself because you love it. Then the
Okay.
world has to need it, otherwise you're doing something and you have to be paid by it. Then you are in your ikigai, and then you never have to work again. And you simply have to have the guts to follow your heart in that. And then the final stage is that life happens as you. And you have this beautiful film, Lucy, where in the end, as she becomes one with
Yeah, you
everything.
like
And
that, right? Yeah.
do you know that movie, Lucy?
I
I
love it.
love
I
that.
love it.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. When she was everywhere, right? Yes, yes, yes.
Exactly. I'm everywhere. That was the final. And once you realize that, the fear diminishes. Because in the end, fear is fear of death. And when you know only your body dies, and that your soul or your intelligence, or however you want to call it, might continue. In my opinion, it is, but everybody has to decide for themselves, of course. But then
I agree.
you become more quiet and more at peace at those things.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, you're very right. I mean, a lot of people are afraid of death, but it's getting better because the message has been received that, yeah, you're just transitioning. And
Yeah,
even though
yeah,
you're not physically here anymore, you should leave something behind when you go so people can still think about you and still people can still love you and the energy is still there and all that stuff, right? Yeah. So and yeah, I mean, as a Christian, I still do believe in reincarnation. So
oh,
I believe in it. So because I follow a lot of the Indian gurus and Indian masters and that's
wow, yeah,
basically what their message is.
yeah. I've been with one spiritual master in India. And he said that when he had his ultimate moment of enlightenment, were his words, he could see 35 million years of his evolution from like a stone to an insect and another insect, and then like let's say to a mouse, and then to more plant, trees, and then his previous life, he said he was a Catholic priest in Switzerland. And what happened
Wow.
in that life, he said, he fell in love with a woman. But the point was, he was a Catholic priest, so he was not allowed to be
Right,
engaged
right.
with a woman. So this stayed a very huge desire. She also was in love with him, and so they did the confession and so together. And but yeah, so and then because in the East they say you only will reincarnate because of desires which are still there, which have to be
Right, that
fulfilled.
you didn't complete in the past life. Right.
Exactly. This
So
is
next
was the
time he
only thing.
reincarnate, he could love a woman, right?
He met that woman again. They were again man and woman, and so they were married. And then he went
Nice.
into very high yogic state, and yeah, probably doesn't have to reincarnate again.
Ah, yeah, well, I love Satguru, and he is actually,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
he sees all his lives and stuff like that. He's just like that
Oh
too.
yeah, he does. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. He also
Yeah,
saw that.
he sees all his
Yeah.
lives too. So
Wow.
amazing. All right. So, if someone listening today feels exhausted, overwhelmed, or emotionally disconnected, what are three practical steps they can take today to begin healing? I know that you're gonna talk up to them in a minute about how they can reach out to you and be a part of this conscious scan. But is there anything that they can do in their homes to begin healing that we haven't discussed? Because one of the things you talked about is accept it, right?
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah. What's your answer to this particular question?
Yeah, is it maybe an idea to do a very simple, short exercise for the listeners and the viewers? Yeah, it's called, or what I'm just saying, heart coherence. It's the most evidence-based stress regulation technique out there in the world, done by high performers, executives, CEOs. And it's very simple and it's totally scientifically proven. So, is it an idea to exercise to do this, to practice this 2 minutes or 1 minute?
Sure. Yes. Go ahead.
Yeah. So then, yeah, please put your feet on the ground and make your spine straight. And in the end, we do it with eyes open and stuff. But first, put your hands on your heart area. And then close the eyes and really feel the warmth of your hands on that heart area. In the East, they call your heart your safe place. And that is because your heart in itself is always peaceful and positive. Stress is made by thoughts in the brain. And when you touch your heart, as explained, the heart is 5,000 times stronger electromagnetically than the head. So the big boss of the body is right here, your heart. And so this first step is heart focus. Get out of your head into your body and feel the warmth of your hands on the chest, on that heart. And then the second step is that we intelligently and consciously start breathing with the so-called heart focus breathing. So I want to invite you all to breathe in like 4 to 5 seconds. If you're breathing through the hands and the heart, charge yourself with fresh energy. And then, as if you're breathing out to the heart and hands, let go of all negativity and stress. And keep that rhythm. 5 seconds in to the heart, and 5 seconds out, and release tension with the out breath. Keep that rhythm. This will totally balance your autonomic nervous system and your sympathetic and parasympathetic branches. With every out breath, let go, let go, let go. So the autonomic nervous system has an accelerator and a brake, and this breathing totally balances both. In the final step, I want to invite you to activate a positive feeling where you would like to have a little bit more of right now. That could be power, it could be gratefulness, it could be patience, silence, and breathe. Breathe that positive feeling through your heart. Let's practice with power, for example. Breathe in power. And when you breathe out to the heart and hands, relax in this feeling of power. With the next in breath, activate power again through your heart to every cell of your body. And when you breathe out, relax and power. And now you may release the hands of the chest, but as if these hands are still there, continue the heart focused breathing with a positive feeling. And now you may open your eyes so that you also learn to do it with eyes open. For example, being at the dentist or in a meeting, whatever, and to really get very quickly from stress to flow. When I would measure your hearts now, we will see a very coherent rhythm instead of a very incoherent rhythm. So this is a technique you can apply like 3, 4, 5 times, like 1 to 10 minutes, 1 to 2 minutes per day, returning back to your heart, your center of coherence, where your soul lives, where your positivity lives. And this is also the way out of the matrix and the rat race. And it's the fastest. There are monks, Zen monks, who are studying Zen meditation for years. When they learn this technique, they always say, I want that I knew this technique like 10 years ago. Because it's the way out. It's the way to the heart.
That's beautiful. I love what you said. The heart is the big boss. It's very true. Yes. And I learned about the electromagnetic field of the heart, and anything that you and it's a recorder. I mean, people think that the brain is doing the recording, but your heart records every single thing too. So yeah, I do a lot of chakra meditations and vagus nerve meditations. So and even, heart coherence, not that much, but, I do the meditation and the breathing. But I've never done the last part, which is, thinking of something and running it through your heart, like the power. It's good. So I'll add that. So that was great. Because again, you have to tell the world what you want, right? And this is a great way to do it. So yeah, when you visualize and being grateful or whatever it is you want to do, so that was amazing. So thank you for that. Thank you for sharing that one exercise with us. And I'll start doing it myself too. I'll add that, because yes, we need to honor our hearts. I thank my heart all the time, because I have been aware that it was the first organ that started working when you go when you're right when you go for your sonogram. What are they doing? They're checking the heart, right? And it's the last thing that goes when your heart goes. So it's with you all your life, and you got to thank it. So I thank it. Amazing. All right. So, Daniel, this has been an amazing conversation. I love where you're leading me and leading the audience. So, tell us now how our listeners can, partake of the Conscious Scan, your website, social media, if they want to reach out to you. Yes, so go ahead and tell us where they can, reach out to you after this interview.
Yeah, thank you very much, Myrna. So the simple thing is to go to www.conscious.com, and conscious with a Z. So it's not conscious with an S, but with a Z, conscious.com. And for those who are interested, because I think you have a very conscious audience, I do offer now, especially for your podcast, a 50% discount of a conscious scan body mind scan session of 1 hour, and with the discount code Myrna.
Okay.
So when they use that, I will put it in the show notes. Of course, they get a 15% discount on a 1 hour body mind conscious scan. And then the second one is for those who are coaches, therapists, naturopathic doctors. We have this mission with Conscious Scan to strongly contribute to global well-being and global healing. And therefore, I have a monthly free masterclass about the Conscious Scan Coach Certification Program. So I also certify coaches so they can learn this Conscious Scan method with this advanced quantum technology, and they can learn it and they can apply it online with clients all over the world. And so if people are interested in that, they can also check the link for that free masterclass, and I welcome would love to welcome them. And finally, my
Wow.
email address is daniel@conscious.com. Again, conscious with a Z.
Okay. All right. And what are your social media? Are you in social media?
Yeah, the Conscious at channel on TikTok, for example. I also have the Conscious channel on YouTube, or when
YouTube.
they
Okay.
just check Daniel Zavrel. Then on LinkedIn, it's linkedin.com/in/Daniel Zavrel. And Zavrel is a Zavrel.
Okay. All right. Well, yes, I will have links in the show notes for the free masterclass and the coupon for the conscious scan. Yeah, that is great. I'm definitely gonna get one myself. So because listen, knowledge is power. So anything you can learn about yourself and your body, it is powerful. What you want to do with it after you've learned, it's up to you, but knowledge is definitely power. So I would like to learn what's going on with all my organs. And
Yeah.
I personally would do something about it, because I'm in that space. So Daniel, it's been amazing. So thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your wisdom. I really appreciate your holistic approach to understanding the deep connection between the body, mind, emotions, and healing. This conversation reminds us that our symptoms are often messages, not enemies, and that true transformation begins when we learn to listen. To everyone listening, if you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, leave us a review, and share this conversation with someone who can benefit from it. And that's everyone. Everyone has got a body, and everyone has got organs in their body, so everyone can benefit from learning to listen. You can find Daniel's work and learn more about the Conscious Scan Method using the links in today's show notes. So, Daniel, as we wrap up, do you have any last words of wisdom or anything else you want to say?
So I forgot to say Instagram, of course. I'm also on Instagram at the Conscious Ed channel. Yeah, so to wrap it up, I think that was the red thread. I would say consciousness is the new capital. And we always think in terms of money as capital, but I really think consciousness is a higher capital. Again, because when you become conscious, you just make better choices in life, which are more lasting, more sustainable, and bring you more sustainable happiness than money can ever buy you. Of course, there's nothing wrong with money, but I think that consciousness is the real new capital.
It's true. It's true. Happiness and consciousness and being at peace and being aware is definitely much better than having a bunch of money and then you're still unhappy. But yeah, we can have both.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's what I said. There's nothing wrong with it. And yeah,
Yeah.
I believe in abundance mindset, and
Yes.
I see that a lot of new age people think that it cannot go together. But I think more like, hey, you can be a spiritual millionaire, and
Of
that's no
course.
problem at all because
I agree.
it's
I mean,
abundant. Money is energy, and energy is an abundance and information and awareness. So it's can totally go hand in hand.
oh, I agree 100%. Right. You've got to take care of the spiritual being and as well as the physical being and everything, right? Yes. And you know, that's the only way of true complete happiness, right? So amazing. All right, Transformers. Until next time, remember your mind is the most important tool you have, including consciousness. And when you transform your mind, you transform your life. Daniel, thank you for opening my consciousness and opening my awareness. And I will definitely get the Conscious Scan to forward my, my teaching on this subject. So thank you again for tuning in. Thank you, Daniel, for being on the show. Until next
Very
time,
welcome.
namaste.
Namaste.